It is nobody Nexus. Next after dark. We're back. Do you ever have moments in your life where really stupid shit happens to you and it literally feels like you're in a sitcom? Like this can't be real. Stupid shit like this happens so often, and there's gotta be an invisible camera on me at all times. There just has to be. We're stuck in the Truman Show. Each of us are stuck in our own individual Truman Show on the Matrix. There's no way this is real. So much wacky shit happens. But anyway, today's story involves broccoli, but not in the way that these stories usually involve broccoli. Also, if you don't know what broccoli is, check the vocab. This happened in my sophomore year of high school, like right before I got really into broccoli. So I was still like, I didn't really know shit about it. I wasn't a broccoli enjoyer. I wasn't having any broccoli for real. I was like wave 2 of broccoli enjoyers. I was in like volume 2 of broccoli enjoyers out of like the people that we knew in my neighborhood. After school, some days the homie Kwame and I, we would chill at our friend Tom's house because we all lived in the same neighborhood and we didn't want to see our families and shit. So we would always fuck off and chill around in the neighborhood until one of our parents, usually mine, would call us and be pissed off that we weren't home. So today, Kwame and I, we get off the bus and we walk with Tom to his crib and everything's cool. So we're at Tom's and we're playing speedrunners, we're doing some money matches, and then out of nowhere, Kwame's dad calls him and he looks mad distressed. This kid starts stressing and he walks out of the room to take the call. And like 5 minutes later, he comes back and he's like, oh no, oh no, oh no. My dad is gonna drug test my brother and me when I get home. And Kwame was definitely my first real stoner friend. So we all knew his piss was dirty as shit. He had been caught by his parents so many times, it was insane. What makes it really crazy though, Kwame had African parents. So like, I don't know how this was able to have a social life after being caught the first time. So Kwame's like, I need one of you guys to help me piss in a cup, like right now, like as soon as possible. And Tom's like, my shit isn't clean either. And then they both look at me and I'm like, fuck. I'll do it. I mean, I'll do it. Like, I'm a real nigga. But like, fuck. So instead of giving me a cup or something, Tom gives me a fucking Ziploc bag. This Tom gives me a Ziploc bag because Kwame has to be able to take it back to his house afterwards. And Kwame's like, hey Tom, actually, could you get 2 Ziploc bags? Because my brother needs one too. So I grab the 2 Ziploc bags and I go to the bathroom and I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking about the insane amount of piss control I'm gonna need to have to be able to stop midstream and move to the next bag. And then I'm like, fuck it, I just gotta do this. I just have to start. So bag 1 is like pretty easy. It's just pissing in a bag. Like, it's a weird sensation. It's a weird feeling. And as I'm trying to switch to the next bag, I have to like cut the stream off entirely, which is hard as fuck. So I get pissed everywhere and I'm like, oh brother, this is horrible. And I'm trying to switch bags and piss is just everywhere. And like the stream eventually stopped, but bro, that shit hurted low key. So eventually both bags get filled and everything gets cleaned up. I was in that bathroom for a minute. I put the bags of my own piss in my pocket. And as I'm about to leave the bathroom, I hear Tom's dad in the kitchen, which is like right next to the bathroom. So I'm like, oh, paranoia kicks in and I'm like, holy shit, what happens if I bump into some shit and these flimsy ass Ziploc bags pop right in front of this nigga Tom's dad? Then there's just piss everywhere, all over this nigga's house. Like, what would you do if your kid came home and brought his friend and he bumped into some shit in your house and just piss started flowing everywhere? Like, what do you even, like, what's going through your head at that moment? So because of this crazy like train of thought, I wait a little bit and eventually I leave the bathroom. And as I'm walking out, I run into Tom's dad, figuratively, not literally, because then, shit would have been horrible. But I run into Tom's dad and I wave my hand and I say like hi at him and shit. And I look at my hand afterwards and my shit is drenched in sweat. I was scared. I was paranoid as shit. I was terrified. My knees was weak. Palms was sweaty. However the fuck that shit go. So I get back to Tom's room and I give Kwame the bags and I'm like, hey, I almost spilled this piss right in front of your dad. And they both start laughing, and I'm like, man, fuck you. Then eventually, so Kwame puts the bags of my piss in his pants. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I gotta make sure it stays warm. It has to be believable. And Tom and I are like, ew, you nasty ass bastard! Like, what are you doing? And after a while, Kwame's like, yeah, I don't want this shit in my pants anymore. So then he puts them under Tom's bed. He puts my bags of his piss under Tom's bed, and they just sit there. And we go back to playing speedrunners or whatever we were playing. And eventually we all dip and we go home. And a couple hours later, I'm curious. So I text Kwame and I'm like, hey, whatever happened with your parents and the piss test? And he's like, about that? I left the bags at Tom's, so I failed the test. And I'm like, bro, what was all that piss for? Don't tell me all that piss was for nothing. And this nigga Tom went to bed under 2 bags of my piss that night. Like, what are we doing? What happened here? So yeah, Kwame still lost despite our efforts, because of his own neglect. But you know, that's okay. Like, that had been caught so many times. I guess it ended up not mattering in the long run, which is so wild. I don't understand how this was able to survive and have a social life. But yeah, don't try any of this at home. If you do, record this.
Feel my soul, goblin in my brain. If you don't know, then you don't know. I know I'm focused on the stupid shit, cupid shit, but they calling my name. I'm doing this shit with a dollar and dream. I feel like Jermaine. Just something inside is calling me out, but I cannot explain. I feel it in my soul.